It is time for the final of the women's 10,000 metres. What a race in prospect. 3 of the 4 fastest in history. The 4 quickest athletes in the world this year. And if you're an out-and-out sprint fan, bear with me. Keep us company. This will be intriguing. This will be full of heart, full of desire, and full of intrigue. There's Sifan Hassan, going for an unprecedented treble. She said, hey, I got on the podium in all 3 in Tokyo. I wasn't well last year for Eugene. Maybe I know what it feels like. I'm going to give it a go. This really could be a very, very special race indeed. Letesenbet-Gidey is the world record holder. That's Nawawuna. Nawawuna is the 3rd fastest in the world this year. She ran really well in Hengelo, just behind Sifan Hassan. Gudaf Sege is the world champion over 5,000 metres, and she hasn't been beaten this season. There she is. Lemlem Haile, one of the other Ethiopians, is the world indoor champion over 3,000 metres. Alicia Monson, the American, 18th on the all-time list, an American record with 30.03 earlier this year. 8th fastest in the world this year, 7th in the world indoors. She's surely destined to improve on her 13th place finish in Tokyo and Eugene.
Let's get ready to meet the athletes in this 10,000 metre final.
What a race. Monson on the inside, NCAA indoor champion. Ejehu Tei, 5th 2 years ago in Tokyo. Elise Cranny gone well in the American champs. We've just gone past Gidey, the world record holder. Sege, the world champion over 5,000 metres, undefeated this year, the quickest woman with 29.29 at the Ethiopian champs, which were in Spain this year rather than Hengelo because of weather. Jess Warner-Judd nearest the camera. 67-minute half marathon earlier this year. She was 11th in the Olympic final 2 years ago. Richardson 9 times the national champion. There's Grace Nawawuna, 2nd in Hengelo with 29.40. Sarah Chilanga, she's had 3 national records for Uganda this year. Lahti of Sweden, 15.06 in Stockholm. Hironaka will be well known to those of you who remember the race last year. She led up to halfway. She and Stella Chazang went through in about 15.20. She faded to 12th, but was in the top 8 the previous year in Tokyo. So Hironaka, as is often the case with Japanese distance runners, loves to front run. But this is about Sifan Hassan going for a hat-trick. This is about Letesenbet-Gidey trying to win back-to-back titles. There she is. And this is about Gudaf Sege, who ran such an unbelievably quick time. Only her 2nd outing at the distance. 29.29. 4th on the all-time list in winning the Ethiopian trial. 25 brutal laps. It may take a while for the fireworks to be ignited, but I promise this will be worth keeping us company for. And once again, the world 1500 metre champion Jake Whiteman has joined us, eagerly anticipating the final to come. Here we go then, 25 laps of the track, the women's 10,000 metre final. What a showdown in prospect. Everybody will be paying close attention to Sifan Hassan. She did the 5 and the 10 2 years ago before picking up the bronze in the 15. That's an incredible feat to try and pull off as we look at the three Americans, Rogers, Cranny and Monson, who all also made the team for the 5,000 metres. And this, Jake, is little more than even a jog, and we haven't even got Hironaka going to the front yet.
No, I expect that move is going to happen at some point, but you can see Hassan there literally crawling around at the back, and I'd love to know how she spent her lunchtime and afternoon, because she only ran those 1500 metre heats around 1 o'clock, and she's back out tonight barely any time later, so I'm sure she's probably not feeling it too much, but really interesting to see how she approaches the first half of this race.
Talking about Sifan Hassan, who is right at the back, as we've got Natasha Rogers, NACAC champion last year, third in the trials, the 5 and the 10. As I said, the same trio in both races, but yeah, this is 83 seconds for the opening lap, and this will certainly play into the hands of Sifan Hassan. Let's talk about the Dutch woman who's on the very extreme left of picture here. 2:18 in the marathon. She's run a 3:58 1500, but that was off the back of also running 29:37 in Hengelo. She then ran the 3:58 the next day. So it's hard to ascertain how much of her raw speed might have been damaged by running that marathon. I mean, she was 14:13 when she finished third with an area record, European record, in the 5,000 metres. Do you think she might have lost a little bit of her sting?
You have to think that she must have, to come out 4 months after running 2:18 and winning the London Marathon. It's impossible to think that somebody could step down to 1500, but 10K is a bit more suited to probably the aerobic work she's been doing in prep for that marathon, but the chances are she's going to have to run a sub-60 last lap, which she did that this morning. Like, maybe she didn't need to. I felt as though she probably went a little bit hard in that last lap of the 15, but perhaps she's just warming the legs up, ready for a quick burn up in the last lap tonight.
So Rogers just checking them through these early laps at a very, very, very modest pace. 2:53 at 800 metres. I reckon Dan O'Brien could probably still get on the track and do a couple of laps in that one, but he's all the way through since Rio in 2016. 13 of 15 available medals. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And they are in first, second and third. Krauser, Walsh and Kovacs. Richardson now leading. Just looking down, Sifan Hassan, Jake, more than happy to sit off the back, and third from last is Letessenbet Guide, who ran very well actually behind Faith Kipyegon.
Yeah.
But third best time ever, only her own world record, and Kipyegon's world record was quicker. So that 14:07 shows that Guide, third from the back, is in cracking nick.
I think she'll be probably disappointed to have lost to Kipyegon on that day. But that was such a great race back at the start of the season, and Hassan's let a bit of a gap grow there, which I don't know whether that's intentional or not, but I feel as though it's growing to about 10 metres is probably a little bit more than you'd probably like to see. So whether or not she's actually feeling this, or she is still biding her time, just waiting to get into the race, there's a long way left still, but that is quite a big gap that's growing between her and the rest of the pack now.
Yes, as the cameras focus in on Agnes Ngetic, World Cross Country bronze earlier this year. You could just see Hassan, with a roundabout. She's closing that gap a little bit, but I guess what she's paying really close attention to is the fact that we don't have any of the Ethiopians. There's Guide just going through. We don't have any of the Ethiopians making a move at the front just yet. It's quite a stifling evening, isn't it? This is challenging. It's going to be muggy for these runners.
Yeah, definitely. It feels about 27 degrees and probably about 70% humidity. But I'm interested also to see how Segai gets on, because she chose to not run the 1500, which some would have said was her best event, running 3:54 in the past. But she's chosen, I think, to do both 5K and 10K. So she's not opted like Hassan to go for the triple, but the double, and the 1500 for her is the one that's backed out. But the Ethiopians here have brought such a strong team for this 10,000 that I'm sure there's going to be a few medals dished up between them as well.
Yes, there's great expectation in Kenya as well for Grace Nawawuna, the 8th fastest in history after that excellent run in Hengelo behind Sifan Hassan. Guide is such a lovely looking runner to watch, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's so light on her feet.
She's effortless. I think if you were to say what you'd want a distance runner style to look like, it's just so economical and so efficient, and she's also got the change of pace that you need to win a race like this. So she's really the full package when it comes to a 10,000 or any distance race.
Single file now. Guide, 2/3 of the way through that group. Gudaf Sege is the smaller of the Ethiopians. She's beginning to pay closer attention to those at the front.
It's common to see Jessica Judd, or Jessica Warner-Judd as she now is, close to the front, and I'm sure in a few laps' time she'll try and put herself on the front of that race to get it going. But they've started clipping along now at a little bit of a better nick, which I'm sure a lot of the girls are very grateful for.
Yes, I mean, 83-second laps.
Yeah, you'd be out there leading that role, wouldn't you?
For a very short amount of time, young man, for a very short amount of time. Richardson now just beginning to stretch her legs. As he said, Jess Warner-Judd started out as an 800-meter runner. I can remember her competing in Moscow a decade. I can't believe that was 10 years ago, getting exam results when we were out there as a team. So she's graduated to the 10,000 meters. She's in third. No move yet from Hironaka, who loves to lead and did so for half the race in Eugene 12 months ago. Good running from the Ugandans, just in around about 7th or 8th. And
there's also Alicia Monson, who broke the American record at the start of the season, who's sitting back in, I think, about 6th place there, who I'm sure will fancy her chances over the last few laps. She's been pretty high contention in all the Diamond Leagues this season, and yeah, putting real focus on this event.
Yes, big step up in class from her, and you would definitely fancy that she would feature in the top 10 rather than the 13th place finishes she had in Tokyo and Eugene. Hassan now probably around 5th or 6th from the back. You could just see her on the very, very, very edges, or you could just there, the very edge, extreme right of picture. Now she's in the middle, and Letesenbet Guide goes past one or two athletes. She's the very tall Ethiopian, now just on the left of picture with the hip bib 9, and she's just indicating to Ijehu Tei to just not be quite so close to her.
I think if you watch Hassan, she's tracked Guide pretty much the whole race so far, so she definitely knows where the threat is coming from. And yeah, the two of them paying close enough attention to not let any moves go, but they're sat at a comfortable pace, moving along pretty nicely there. Yeah, I look at Rob some of the times on paper from the athletes in this field, and I don't think I've ran as quick as them, so it really shows how far 10,000 meter running has moved on the last few years. I mean, Guide's world record of 29.0 is
yes,
absolutely astonishing.
29.01, Hassan 29.06, and then you go back to Almaz Ayana, that incredible victory on the morning session in Rio. I can remember it well when she ran 29.17. But yeah, we're getting down to the possibility of the world's leading women running inside 29 minutes for 6.25 miles. To
put that into perspective, there's within Britain and probably the world, there's many very, very good club runners that won't be able to run that, males. So it's really, really moving on this event very quickly.
Timunesh Tababa played her part in cementing the 10,000 meters as one of the most memorable events on the women's program. Back-to-back titles in 05 and 07, and then won it again 10 years ago in Moscow. One of the great 10,000 meter runners, twice an Olympic champion, and then had a bronze behind Ayana in that world record breaking race in Brazil in 2016. Right then, still a lot of running left to go, and it's very steady here, so the Ethiopians and the East Africans looking pretty comfortable at this pace, and still no show of impatience yet from the leading Japanese athlete. I'm interested
to see who's going to move for water the first. That's going to be a mind game in itself, because I'm sure with the humidity and temperature tonight, that's going to happen at one point. And if you're one of the favourites in this, could you potentially be playing mind games the same way Hassan would do in her marathon, where she'd pass her water when she's feeling good to the other athletes in the race? It potentially becomes a factor in tactics over this sort of distance.
Yes, and you know, she's got a very engaging, endearing character. As we look at Goshima just off the back of that group, there are 3 who've become detached. I think Hassan is actually quite a self-deprecating character. She's not someone who boasts, and I think when she was handing those water bottles around, I think it was done from a position of innocence, where she was just saying, oh, I've had mine, maybe you want a bit.
Isn't this how it works?
Yeah.
I think the way she was complaining before about she was nervous that it was going to be so hard as well, you don't often hear athletes showing that kind of intimidation towards an event. And
the big men are beginning to rumble, and the leading women are tiptoeing their way to the halfway stage of this 5,000 metres. And we still have absolutely no idea when the move is going to come and who will be the first to go.
One thing I noticed was Kip Karuri from Kazakhstan, who you said would have been one of the contenders for medal going in, is nearly about 200 metres behind the rest of the field. So the 7th place finisher from Eugene, I'm not quite sure what's happened to her coming into this, but obviously not running the way she hoped to going into the champs. But yeah, they're starting to move along now, and we're getting into the juicy bit of this race now.
Yes, we've had the 3-mile warm-up, 16:23. Time is absolutely irrelevant. This is about medals. Nobody remembers the time in which they're won. Only the drama that unfolds in the closing laps. Richardson has led for a couple of miles now. Rogers in second, 32 years of age, inside 31 minutes this year, which is why she's pretty comfortable with this pace. Jess Warner-Judd having a look up. 2 big screens at the end of the stadium. One has the names, the other has the view of the back straight and the home straight, which they're taking good use of. Hironaka sitting in the pack this time. Great run in Tokyo on home soil for a top 8 finish, and it feels it's not quite Japanese levels of mugginess, but it's not far off. She'll be comfortable in these conditions.
I can advocate for how muggy Tokyo was for us. It was yeah, another factor to have to deal with. But Richardson's done a good job at the front here. She's got it going pretty nicely when it potentially was turning into something a bit too pedestrian. So she's done, I reckon, coming up to 5K at this front of this race almost now.
Still no big move. Hassan, 3rd from the right-hand side. There's a better glimpse. Agnes Ngetic just on the left of picture, having a look over her shoulder, and she's tracking Gudaf Sege. And actually, Sege just turned to shout to Ngetic, and perhaps she felt she was getting her heels clipped. She's not afraid to be vocal. Gudaf Sege, the world champion over 5,000 metres, the 4th fastest in history there. She's having another little word with her now, going past Hironaka.
Yeah, there's a few times there where she's been disrupted a little bit by her behind, but the solution to that is either you make a move or let them come past, but otherwise that could continue for a little bit, and that's just happened now. She's let her go.
Right, 11 laps to go, and the Kenyans have decided enough is enough. There'll be lots of people watching all up and down the Rift Valley. They would love to see Irene Kimias, Agnes Ngetic or Grace Nawawuna really take it to Sege. Lati just going over for a drink there on the back straight. Sege and Gide tracking each other.
Hassan is running with her bib in her hand. I don't know if you noticed that. She's obviously ripped off her back bib and feels the need to keep it in her hand just in case maybe there's a transponder she's worried about losing, but I'm sure that's probably not the most economical option. I think she's dropped it now. Yeah,
good, very good spot there by Jake Whiteman, joining us in the commentary box for this 10,000 metre final and the men's as well. And he'll be in action for the men's and women's semis of the 15. She looks so economical, Gudaf Sege. I thought perhaps there was going to be a move there, and maybe the Kenyans were going to try and increase the tempo, but the longer this race goes on, the more you suspect it's beginning to play into the hands of Gudaf Sege, because, Jake, if we look at the raw speed of these women, Sege's run a 3:54 1500 and could have opted to go for the 15, but wants to go 5 and 10. So Sege is one of the fastest women in the world this year over the 1500, and she looks totally comfortable at this pace. She's got speed to burn come the end if she's in a position to strike.
I think that's the thing we forget about with Hassan as well. She's a 3:58 performer this year, also on top of this. So there's a lot of people that are going to be licking their lips in this race, ready for a burn-up. And Sege and Hassan, the 1500-metre runners that you would have said a couple of years ago, are definitely the ones we've got to watch out for there.
Letesenbet Gide may have felt she was destined never to win a global title on the track, because she's got incredible strength in cross-country and on the roads, but she just doesn't quite have the same ferocious sprint as some of the others. But that's why her performance against Helena Beery, just gently veering out to lane 2 in Eugene last year, which felt like it was a lively move, but within the rules. That was a huge moment for Gide to go alongside the world record. She had a global title to her name after being out-sprinted the previous couple of major games, but she is going to have a huge task on her hand, the world record holder, if she is once again to take this title and deny Gudaf Sege or Sifan Hassan the biggest, longest gold available on the track.
I thought we were potentially going to have 4 Ethiopians battling for the medals here, but I think it's Hailu that's just off the back there that looks like she's going to be detached from this group. But there's still 3 Ethiopians, 3 Kenyans up there challenging for these medals.
Lemlem Hailu, just to give you an indication as to the calibre of this field, Lemlem Hailu might not be the most fancied of the Ethiopians, but she won the world indoor title over 3,000 metres last year.
I don't know if you saw that, Rob, there, but Sege, I think, was getting tired of leading that, and she just signalled to Gide to come past. And yeah, I don't know if that's captain orders, but Gide followed exactly what she said there and has hit the front to kind of take the pace herself now.
One of the lapped athletes moving past to make room for the field. And little bit by little bit, Jake, we're getting down to this 3-way battle between the East African nations, predominantly Ethiopia and Kenya in this one, with Chilanga still trying to hang on for Uganda.
I was watching Hassan there. It's so hard to tell how she's feeling. I think London Marathon showed us that, where there are points where she looked like she was spent and out the back door, and she looks like she's working hard on the back of this group here, but you can never tell how she's doing. It's a tough race for everybody, but she perhaps just shows her expressions on her face a little bit more, but she's still going to be there with a few laps to go, I'm sure.
Gradually, ever so gradually, they're winding up the pace. 73 seconds for that lap. When will the big move come? Inside 7 laps to go in the final of the women's 10,000 metres. This has been a cagey opening. Gide floats along the track. Agnes Ngetic, world cross-country bronze earlier this year. Gudaf Sege skipping along. Tay can't be ruled out of this one. She was 6th in the 10,000 metres in Eugene last year.
Still 3 Americans in this pack as well, which would be great for them to see. They're all getting stuck into this race and look pretty good so far.
Gide having a look up just to see who's there. The answer is almost everyone. She won't be able to see Hassan, but she will rightly assume that the brilliant Dutch woman is still in the pack, and Hassan goes past 1 or 2. There she is now 4th from the left-hand side. Coming up onto the shoulder, or she was coming up onto the shoulder of the American Natasha Rogers.
It's almost like Hassan gets bored and has to switch herself back on a little bit sometimes, just to pass a few people to re-engage. But yeah, she makes the moves when she needs to. Like one coming up, I'm sure, just to close a little gap that's starting to develop. There we go.
Jehu Tay leads now. Now Awuna coming up on the outside. Gudaf Sege has just allowed 1 or 2 places to go by. There's the Brazilian lapped athlete, probably too tired to move to the outside, so they have to scramble their way past her. Sege, the 5,000 meter world champion, is in 5th. The reigning champion, Letesenbet Gide, in 2nd. Now Awuna, the 8th fastest in history. She's in 3rd. Sifan Hassan coming into the picture. Jess Judd of Great Britain and Cranny just beginning to struggle now. Hassan on the left. Perhaps, Jake, she's working on the basis of, she's thinking about the fact that there's 3 events to go for. She's trying to conserve her energy and leave the burn up as late as she possibly can. And in so doing, in allowing her to cruise at the back of this pack, maybe if things go her way, the rest of the field will realise they've played into her hands. Someone's got to make a move soon, surely.
Yeah, she's got a 1500 metre semi-final tomorrow night, so she's going to obviously have that in the back of her mind with it. But the harder they can make it from the further out, the less likely she's going to want that scenario. So I'd be doing everything I can to get on the front just to keep it moving here.
Tay leads. Gide in 2nd.
Gide just looks relaxed the whole time. I don't think she showed any level of strain on her face. She's just been locked in, floating along for the whole of this race pretty much so far.
It's now Awuna who seems the most positive of the Kenyans, and Gide just indicating, I think, to Ngetic there, that she's getting a little bit annoyed that she's having her heels clipped, and Ngetic looks like she's trying to find a way through on the inside, and Gide is remonstrating with her and saying, hey, look, come on, give me some space here. But as you said, Jake, if you don't like what's happening behind you, move. Yeah,
and if you're an athlete that sees she's getting rattled by that, you'd be more inclined to stay in that position and potentially just rustle her feathers a little bit more to make a mistake and do something a bit erratic. But yeah, I don't know whether it was to Sege or to the Kenyans, whether she was trying to help somebody come through to help take the pace, but there's a lot of gesturing going on in that pack at the moment.
We're almost heading into the last mile. Hassan looks like she's just taken a sponge there, trying to cool off. Hanging on to that group, or is she just toying with us and biding her time? We'll find out. Hironaka beginning to just, I thought she was maybe allowing a metre or so to grow off the end of that group. Good running by Monson, who ran that massive PB for 30.03. She's still in touch. Sege forces her way through on the inside of Kimias.
Jessica Warner-Judd still there as well, going past a couple here.
Inside, 3 laps to go. Now Awuna leads from Ngetic, and for the first time, Kimas, the other Kenyan, just perhaps beginning to struggle. Gide right up there in 3rd. Tay in 4th. Sege floating round the track in 5th. And Hassan still just about in touch at the back of that group. You can sense the tension beginning to build beautifully here. 1,000 meters to go. What a run by Monson.
This is what I love about 10,000 meter running. It's a big old story, isn't it? It just builds up to this big final crescendo, which is going to be the last few laps, where, as you can see, and as you said, Rob, anything can happen here. There's plenty of athletes still in contention for these medals, and yeah, we can't yet pick a winner.
All of them paying very close attention to the screen that is up around 150 meters to their right-hand side. Now Awuna from Gide, from Kimas. Monson running the race of her life up with the East Africans. The last time there was a non-African-born medalist, it was Emily Infeld out-dipping Molly Huddle for the bronze back in 2015. Kimias coming wide on the outside. And Hassan is still there. Hironaka hasn't faded in this one. Remember, she was 7th in the Olympic final 2 years ago. Now Gide at the front. The world record holder, the defending champion, with her teammate in second place on her shoulder. Tay, the other of the Ethiopians, perhaps beginning to fade. Monson, her face is a picture of concentration.
Both Gidey and Segai look really relaxed still here. They look like they've got this race in control still as it's going, but Hassan now is starting to come through.
They've played the waiting game, and now they've all got to deliver. They take the bell in the final of the women's 10,000 metres. Sifan Hassan, an extraordinary, iconic athlete, attempting an unprecedented treble here. She came ever so close to being successful in Tokyo. 2 golds and a bronze. Monson running the race of her life for the United States. 300 metres to go. And they're running in lane 3, lane 4. Monson perhaps begins to relinquish her hold on a medal. Look at this. Sifan Hassan, Letesenbet Gidey and Gudaf Segei. The 3 big stars are delivering a blockbuster finish in Budapest. Hassan looking over her shoulder. Can Gidey find something? It's her title. She's the defending champion. But Gudaf Segei is the one on Hassan's shoulder. Hassan kicks again. Gudaf Segei, the 1500-metre specialists, going toe-to-toe over 6¼ miles. Oh, and Gudaf caused Hassan to stumble. It's an Ethiopian 1-2-3. She was coming up on her outside, Gudaf Segei. She might have gone past her, but at the very least, Sifan Hassan would have collected the silver. She manages to smile. Gidey goes back across onto the track to console her as she comes across the finish line. The fall has brought blood. There was nothing meant in that by Gudaf Segei. She was coming up on the outside, her legs stumbled with the pain, and as she lost her balance, she knocked Hassan out of her rhythm. And the Dutch woman's aspirations for the first of 3 golds went crashing to the ground, and all 3 medals have gone the way of the Ethiopians, with Gudaf Segei taking the title and remaining undefeated in 2023. But that was such a harsh finish, because she and Hassan were going toe-to-toe all the way to the line. What a brutal, dramatic way for our 10,000-metre final to finish.
Oh, what a race, what a race. I thought Hassan had the better of Segei at one point during that home straight, but yeah, an Ethiopia 1-2-3, that's what there's going to be a lot of cheers back in Addis Ababa, I'm sure, tonight. And that might be fuel to the fire for Hassan to come out and yeah, want it even more in her 1500 and 5K attempts, because I'm sure she'd be devastated not to pick up a medal at least there.
What is so disappointing about that from a neutral's point of view, Tay obviously celebrating the fact that she picked up a medal along with Letesenbet Gidey, who couldn't quite successfully defend her title. That was turning into one of the greatest finishes to any 10,000-metre race, male or female, because you couldn't work out whether Segei was going to manage to come. She lost a little bit of momentum. Now she comes back towards Hassan, who looked on the inside to check that Letesenbet Gidey wasn't coming. Segei bumps arms. There's nothing deliberate in that whatsoever. That is sheer fatigue from 2 women desperate to take the title.
I've had a couple of them in my time, but that is, oh yeah, the legs are just gone. I don't know whether or not that is the lack of potentially a track build-up, having focused on the marathon a little bit, but yeah, she's going to hopefully come back, Hassan, and rewrite the wrongs from that race, I'm sure.
Have you ever seen a finish to a 10,000 metres like that? Gudaf Segei is the champion. Letesenbet Gidey, who won last year in Eugene, takes the silver. Tay is the beneficiary. She's on the podium because it should have been a medal for Sifan Hassan, but her legs went from under her, and her quest for 3 golds comes up short at the end of an incredibly brave run over 9,980 metres.